And thank you, Toby. That was the red, white, and blue. Talking about America. Hello, America. I am John Lubunsky. I am your presenter tonight. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, you enjoyed a little bit of music during that 15 minutes. Got yourself a pen and paper and something to drink so we can enjoy it. I'm going to go really fast. Now, got my jacket off. I got my sleeves rolled up. We're going to get to work. I'm really fired up about what's going on out there, and I'm going to be a little bit more emotional tonight than I normally am. We're going to try to invoke some emotions from you too. Do you care about your retirement? If you're close to retirement or retired right now, do you care about it? Do you love your family? If you love your family, you need to do a proper estate plan. I had several people from last week's estate planning financial education class who don't have children, had never been married. Well, surely they need to have an estate plan. They had $3 million. Where's it going to go? They needed to make those decisions now. Who's going to take care of them? My mom was in a nursing home for a long time. Who's going to take care of them if something happens to them? All those things have to be put into your paperwork, folks, in advance. Did you see the planning? And this is a little bit on the crazy side, I think. And I'm sorry to all the English out there. My mom was from England, bless her soul. But did you see the planning that the Queen of England put into her retirement plan and into her funeral? That was incredible. And that's exactly what we should be doing too. My mom was in a nursing home at one time, and I talked to the director, and I said, man, there's a lot of really wealthy old timers in here that have been in the community for 90 something years. And she said, yeah, some of them are really wealthy. They founded this area. They founded this town. I said, one of the women went to the one room school back in 90 years ago and 80 something years ago. And all 12 grades were in one classroom, and there was a handful of people. And she said, yeah, and her dad owned about a fifth of the property around here. So that's just incredible. But she said, it's really sad. They won't have estate plans in place. The kids will go fighting over it. They'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars fighting over things. And grandma will be buried in a pine box, the cheapest box there is available, or cremated. And then they just spread the ashes to be cheap. Folks, that's not the way we want it to have happen here. So welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to make things happen tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about what you can do so you can make better decisions. The greatest gift. That's what we call this whole thing. The greatest gift. How to avoid common estate plan mistakes. That's our whole deal. Seen 15,000 people, seen the same mistakes over and over again. I can work with one-on-one, but I'm running out of time. I'm getting gray hair. We need to talk to more people, and this new COVID, thank God it's almost gone, brought Zoom. So now I can talk to tonight hundreds and hundreds of people that joined us, and thank you for being here. I'm going to outline your wishes. We're going to communicate your goals and values. We're going to help you help your loved ones tomorrow. We're going to worry about you and yours first, but in the end, the golden goose is going to go to the kids and to the grandkids, and you get to decide on how that happens. We're going to talk about the elements and components of a real estate plan. No, it's not an old will sitting in the closet. That's not an estate plan. We're going to talk about you got to have to trust the products, the process. No, I need three things from you tonight. This is what I want to come out with. I want you to trust and believe in us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about us so you can do that. I want you to believe in the process, that there is a process that you become educated. We are not going to tell you what to do. We're not going to sell you something. We're not going to sell you a will or a trust. We don't do wills and trusts. We're going to show you what you need and how you need to go get it and assist you in that process and not charge you. It's complimentary. We won't charge for our planning services, and I'll tell you why. You've got to believe in the company. We are owned by I partner with about $15 billion. They have human assets with degrees, with initials after their name, CFA, CFP, RICP, CHFC, COU. These are experts in what they do for you. Now, my parent company employs them. They do not charge me for them, so I don't have to charge you for them. When you build an estate plan, you need a lawyer, you need a CPA, you need an MBA, you need all these people, about 6 or 7 different disciplines that all charge $200 to $300 an hour each, who do not want to talk to each other. And people all the time say, well, I spoke to my CPA. CPAs are historians. How many beans went in the can? How many beans came out of the can? How much tax do you need to pay? That's what they do best. They don't do planning. We're planners. That's why they call it a certified financial planner. Certified financial analyst. First, we have to do analysis, and then we can do planning. So trust the process. Big deal. I'm the big guy that gets to talk to you. I started this whole deal 22 years ago after 20 years in industry. I retired to take care of my mom. My dad died at 56. My mom was 53. She got Alzheimer's at 72. So I got a very good education in retirement process and how not to do things in that time. My mom, they said, well, she got Alzheimer's, gonna have to go to nursing home. We kept her for about 2 or 3 years at the house until she was letting the dogs out the front door, not the back door. That was bad. And she had to go into a nursing home. $5,000 a month. She had $1,100 in total Social Security and pension. So a burden to the family of not only financial, but also the emotional stress. Well, she was fine. They said she probably only lived 3 to 5 years. She lived till 90, from 72 to 90 with full-time Alzheimer's. So not too good. We have this huge team that you're going to meet, a couple of billions in successes and hundreds of happy clients. 2008, my clients didn't lose any money. COVID, we got out February 7th. I had my financial investment staff come in the office and said, this is not going to be good. You know, a lot of people waited until June, July. A lot of people never did get out. We got out February of 2020, saved people lots and lots of monies. I love golf. I love my family. I've got 8 grandkids, 3 kids. I've got 5 children that we sponsor 3 in Africa and 2 in Haiti as part of our mission. And we've got a bunch of doodles. All of our families got doodles. You're going to meet along the way James Jerica. He is, as you can see, got the alphabet salad after his name: CFP, COU, CHFC, RACP. He's the director of our Wealth Watch side, which is we have a side that does estate planning. From the market side, we have the fixed side. So he's the market side. 100%. His whole dedicated career has been financial services through high school, through college, and after college, and to earn all those certifications. We focus on risk management and achieving returns. That's how I met him. That's how we hired him. That was his commitment, and it matches what ours is. Less than 10% of all advisors are a CFP. You want to work with a CFP, but you want to work with a CFP that's not working with a brokerage house. A lot of these big brokerage houses say, well, we use independent advisor representatives. Now, we use fiduciaries. Yeah, but they're a broker. They're still just going to sell you stock sponsored mutual funds. They're not going to do any planning. When do they do the planning? Well, they don't. It's not what they get paid for. And if they're not going to get paid, they can do it. Sharing highest quality of service to to his clients. He's always has that commitment as a fiduciary, married and got a son. He's got a beautiful growing family, and he's going to be around for a long time. Well, our focus is on you, educating you. Again, these are the people that you have to have inside of your team to really have a successful team. We have them. You don't have to go find them. I couldn't find them when I tried to put a plan together for my mom. She didn't have any money. My dad died at 53. He wasn't ready for that. She wasn't ready for that. We got her through. Took a lot of careful planning and taught me a lot of life lessons. Here's our partnerships. I mean, we have an incredible crew of people waiting to help you. Give me your money. We'll try to do better than the last guy in mutual funds. Is not going to work. You've done that. A lady said, well, I went from this company to that company to that company to that company, and the same thing happened. Well, yeah, she went to 5 different shops that did all the exact same things. She didn't go anyplace new. She didn't go to see what else was out there. She didn't really see what you're going to see tonight. So we're talking about my personal story of my mom and my dad, but another really good personal story is my own. I retired early from corporate environment in 2000. I had my 401k, my IRA, my mom's got Alzheimer's, I've got my kids, I've got a house, I've got a wife, I've got all these things going on. I've got my 401k that now is in IRAs, and I've got all these decisions to make, and I don't know anything about it. Well, gave that money to a friend of mine's longtime broker. He put it into the market and proceeded to lose 45% of my assets. I didn't understand what he was doing, where he was going. He was putting me places so he could make a lot of money, variable annuities. He made a ton of money. I lost a ton of money, and that's just not what a fiduciary would do. Variable annuities are the top 10 investment scams in 50 out of 50 states. It's just not something that you should ever look at. So my personal story said, I've got to find a way, after running a P&L for a several $100 million company for many, many years, I've got to find a way to run my own P&L. And that's what we today called your GPS retirement plan. So who do we work with? Conservative investors, people that want to protect the lifestyle over bet the farm. If you're happy losing, like one lady told me that it was okay that she lost $307,000 so far this year out of her $1.5 million. She's 74 years old, single. She wants to preserve these assets for her kids. I said, you need to get your kids on the call with us next time, because somehow that losing $307,000 just doesn't make sense for me. People want to have peace of mind. They want to be proactive and informed. Just because you don't want to lose money doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. You're doing something right. You're doing what's right for you. Now, you're not doing what your broker wants you to do. You're doing what you need to do for you. You're making a stand. And no, you're not going to call him. I had one gentleman, he moved over last week. We went through his whole plan, created a plan. He says, John, I really don't I want to protect this asset, a large IRA. I want to protect it. Please, what can we do to protect that? Help me. We did. He called me and he said, well, let me look at everything and I'll call you tomorrow and I'll tell you exactly what I want to do. We had a couple of options for him, A or B, never yes or no. He called me back. He said, well, I called my other advisor and I know you told me not to. And I did. And you know what I told him? You're fired. You've done a horrible job. I've researched this thing and you've done nothing but charge me fees. You've never called me in the last 2 years. You've never done anything. You didn't try to protect me. You didn't work on my sub accounts. So I've lost a whole bunch of money. I'm 75 years old and you're fired. I'm moving out. And I was like, whew, well, thank goodness. And I said, I didn't even give him a chance to respond. I've got to be open to learn and to act. If you want to learn and you want to use up my time and my people's time, but you don't want to act, you don't want to make things happen, you don't want to get better, you don't want to fix problems, then probably not going to be the right avenue for you. I still want you to make a list. I still want you to get help. I hope that we can go through that meeting and then we can probably get you onto the right track and head you in the right direction. It's return on relationship, though, with us. We want to build trust, and trust is through education, verification, and consideration. You're going to consider our time and efforts and what we put together for you. You're going to research that and spend your time and efforts diligently to understand it and to ask questions and to define it. And if in the end you want help, please ask us. If you're not, you educated, you know what you need to do, and go do it. You're successful by choice. We all want to believe, that everything's going to be fine. I want to go a little bit out of order here. I'm off script tonight. I'm a little bit upset. What we all want is, you have nothing to worry about. This is the love boat. We're just going to roll around in the seas and have fun. Everything's going to be great. It's going to be smooth sailing. But are you on the Love Boat, or are you on a 3-hour tour to a deserted island that you don't know where it's at? Reality, when people really look inside and understand what's going on inside of their current estate plan, they don't like it. 3.89% in fees one lady was paying, with 2.54% best case scenario, best 10 years ever in her investment. She was guaranteed to lose 1.5%. But if the market went down 20, she's going to pay 23.89 out because she's got her 3.89% in fees too. She did not understand that. Aha! I did not understand that. That's the education process. You have to understand that. The analysis will provide a review that now you've got something to sit and discuss with yourself, with us, with your spouse, with your kids, with your whoever you want to discuss that with. Just understand, if you're talking to your advisor about your new advisors, it's kind of like introducing your current wife to your new wife. I don't think they're going to really get along. Conservative investors want income. They want preservation of their assets. They want growth of their assets. They want tax advantages, and they want a legacy estate plan that when they're all done with those funds, if something happens to him, his wife is taken care of, something happens to her, vice versa, and then that money goes to the people that they want that money to go to after death. You get to control that asset after death. Now, top 10 planning mistakes: failing to plan, doing nothing. Easiest way to fail: just do nothing. Select the correct type of trust. What type of trust do you want to have? It depends on what your needs are. Most of them are going to be the same. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to help you determine that right now tonight. I'm not going to diagnose over this financial education class. That would be called malpractice. Your doctor doesn't prescribe over the phone. Otherwise, that would be called malpractice. Properly funding those trusts once the trust is set up. See, a lot of trusts come in. It's a trust. It's signed. Sometimes it's not notarized. It's worthless. It'll be contested. Got to have the right documents, and you got to have the right beneficiaries. So there's a lot of things that don't go into a trust if you're going to have a trust. Beneficiary documents like an IRA, like an annuity, like a life insurance policy. Those are irrevocable right from the start because there's a beneficiary that has been designated, but you have to update them. The old story about the gentleman who was married 25 years ago. He had IRAs, he had life insurance, he had his 401k. His wife was on as a beneficiary. They got divorced. He got remarried, been with this lady now for 20 years. He died. His ex-wife got everything. He never changed the beneficiaries. We have to do annual reviews. Our trust company, been in business for 23 years, they do trust reviews. If there's changes in the laws, they call you and they change them. If there's changes in your life, you do reviews and you change them. They'll make sure we keep up with those things. Got to have tax planning. If you have an estate, you got to plan for taxes. Do you want the IRS to be your number one beneficiary? Okay, everybody right now, yes or no? And while I'm on this point, I want to do one quick thing because some people can't stay all night. I'm going to be here for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Don't know. We'll see how it goes. Now, I'm going to give you an offer. There's an offer right now. My assistant's going to put it up. That offer is going to be the one-on-one. Part 2. Part 1 is tonight. We're going to talk in generalities. Part 2, I want to talk about you. One-on-one with you. I care. That's why. I don't want you to make mistakes. I don't want you to say, well, that's not for me. I don't want you to say, well, he can't help me. I don't want you to say, well, I already have a will. Well, how do you know that you have a will and the will is enough? So I'm going to put an offer up. There's going to be 2 parts, and I'm going to do the Calendly is going to come up. All you got to do is check on my Calendly link right now. Click on it at any time during the show. Click on it. You'll see blue dates. Click on the blue dates. Click on the blue times and book an appointment. Now, also, when you book that appointment, do two things. Number one, write it down. You'll get a confirmation. Make sure it gets in your calendar. But number two, while you're clicking that calendar appointment, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're needing. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I really am interested to hear a little bit more about you so I know who I'm calling. And I also get to see that you're interested in doing something, making this happen. So click on that right now, and then let's set that appointment up. So I've got a gift for you too. So if you make the appointment, in the appointment, I'm going to give you a gift from me. Amazon's going to deliver it. So wait till the end. I'll tell you what the gift is. So discuss this with your family. Name a trustee. We'll go through all that kind of stuff. Powers of attorney, medical and financial. My dad had a heart attack a couple years before. They didn't have medical power of attorneys or financial power of attorneys, so it was very difficult. Luckily, my mom was around, so she could make those decisions for him as a spouse. But, those things have to be decided up front. There's about a 90% chance that you're going to die married or with your wife. 90% of the time, though, the wife is going to die without the husband. So these things have to be planned in advance for both of you, but probably it's going to be for the wife. We got to discuss this with the family. We really do. They need to know what's going on, and they need to know what the final result is. So got to people forget the final arrangements. Queen didn't forget them. Got to talk about charities. I had one couple that they wanted to give money to their church, but they didn't really know how to do it. We're going to give the church $250,000. Right now they have RMDs that they're not using. We're going to put those to use, and it's going to guarantee that $250,000 goes to their church. Plus their kids are going to get their entire estate. So there's ways to do those things that we can talk about. Again, one-on-one. Failure to work with an advisory team. If you work with an expert, James is an expert at trust law. He knows estates, trusts, wills. He knows that whole process. I'm kind of the coach. He's the quarterback. He's going to be your quarterback running your team. So once you have all the options available to you, it's real easy to decide which one is going to be best for you. And then from there, we've got to update that. So our clients stay in contact. We do quarterly meetings. We do annual face-to-face meetings, and we update things. Fact, success is planned. Successful people plan. They understand where they are today first. They know where your needs are, goals, and path to success. They take control with confidence, and they communicate. I am going to return every one of your phone calls and every one of your emails, period. James is going to return every one of your emails and every one of your calls, period. My assistant will, period. All we ask in return is that you do too, promptly, because we like to get on these cases. We have another webinar coming up next week on the 27th for a financial education class for folks, and we like to get through these calls in the next 7 to 12 days maximum so that we don't forget about it. Again, that special offer, class part 2. We're going to do a Q&A. We're just going to decide in 30 minutes what you might need, what we might be able to help you with. If there's nothing, congratulations. It's fantastic. Now, I cannot help people who don't want help. I cannot help people who don't have an estate. So I'm sorry about that one. I had a lady call me. She says, well, I'm going to start making $350,000 in about 2 years. Well, let's talk a little bit about where you're today. Well, I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for 10 years. I'm sorry. Not so much I can do about that. I can help mom. Mom does not have a trust or a will, and dad died, and it was kind of a problem. So they understand that whole process. So at least we can definitely help mom, guide her in the right direction. So we're going to talk about your retirement plans, needs, and goals that go into that whole thing. Book that time. Stay tuned at the end. Again, I'm going to have a free gift for you, but that's really what we're going to do. What we're going to do in that meeting is talk about that list of mistakes that people make. Make sure that you're not making those mistakes. So, tangible reasons for a good estate plan: avoiding unnecessary legal costs and delays of probate. I don't know what your state is. That's one thing we got to talk about, is where you're living at. But I did have a client who had a father that died in Pennsylvania. They have monstrous probate taxes. They have monstrous taxes. They have monstrous loads for the probate. process that he had to engage an attorney, pay the attorney. In the end, to take his father's estate through probate took 13 months and 6 figures in cost. It was a nice estate. It wasn't a gigantic estate. It was just completely 100% avoidable. But Dad was 90 something years old and old school, and he wouldn't listen to it. We're going to avoid those additional and unnecessary tax losses in the process. There's things that we can do now to take the IRS off of some of those things. And we're going to assure, most of all, that your wishes are carried through while we protect your legacy. But first thing we have to do is we got to take care of you. This couple needs to enjoy their retirement. And all along that way, we have the power of compounding interest over a long time period of time if you do things right, and you're going to leave a nice estate to your children. You get to decide what that was and what that will be. One gentleman called and said, John, the number one thing my wife and I want to do is we want to leave $20 million each after tax to each one of our children. Wow, fantastic. Can I sign up for being one of the children? Estate tax exemptions, here's what they are. Yeah, they're big right now. But do you understand that there's a sunset? It's fast approaching. That sunset automatically goes back to $5 million, and that sunset is now being politicized in Washington that they want it to go back to zero. And in fact, they want to add a probate tax, they want to add a death tax, and they want to add a state tax. Guaranteed estate tax if you have over a certain amount of estates. So we have to be prepared not for this, we have to be prepared for worst case scenario. And 22.8, forget that. Let's just call it 5 and go from there. So, but even at that, why would you want to go through probate and pay all those fees and have all those delays? I had one gentleman who died during COVID, and his family was almost 17 months before they got the estate cleared. Well, the children literally had no money to pay for things because they didn't have financial powers of attorney or anything, and they couldn't get a death certificate because he died during COVID, and there was all this confusion. It's just, folks, it's avoidable. A real simple document. Takes a couple of hours to put together. You got to relieve those loved ones from making those tough emotional decisions. Those decisions should be made in advance. Do you think that the Queen of England's family was worried about those decisions? No, she took charge and she took command, and those things will be carried out in her own way for the rest of her life. I'm going to avoid and reduce tensions and political infighting for sure. We're going to avoid lawyers and judges. Now, do you want to decide what happens to your state, or do you want some lawyer and a judge to decide what happens with your state? If you're saying you want to make those decisions, please click right now on my Calendly link and let's spend that hour together. Let's talk a little bit about you and your estate and your current retirement plan if you have one. We're allowed the loved ones to transition through their loss peacefully, following your plan. And that plan can go to the next generation. So those things, that couple that wants their children, we're not only going to have the children going to derive those large amounts of money into their estate, their plan is going to fuel the plan for the grandchildren. The grandchildren's plan is going to fuel a plan for the great-grandchildren. So literally, family members, beloved ones, their great-grandchildren are going to benefit from their work today and never meet great-grandma and great-grandpa because they took the time to put a plan together. They did have plenty of money, but all in ratio, that can still happen for all of us. I definitely want something to happen. My children are fine. My grandchildren need to have that there, and if they don't need it, it needs to pass on to their children. And that's all going to be spelled out, and all is spelled out in my trust. Tools of a great estate plan: wills and trusts, clear disposition of your assets. Who gets what, when, where, how? How? You don't want to get if you got a child in there like Lindsay Lohan, you don't want Lindsay Lohan getting a big old check cash. You can determine how that's going to be distributed to her within and have a trustee, maybe like my son can be the trustee, and he'll make sure that things get carried out correctly. I also have a successor. Something ever happened, God forbid, to him, there's someone behind him to make sure that that's taken care of correctly. Current and accurate beneficiary designations on all of your different policies. The gentleman in whose dad died in Pennsylvania, he said, I know that dad had 5 or 6 life insurance policies, John. Let's call the Life Insurance Commission at the state Department of Insurance and find out where they're at. No, they don't know. There's no records for that. Well, why didn't you ask Dad? Well, Dad really wouldn't tell me that stuff. It's crazy. We have to get all that taken care of, and we got to do transfer on death, TOD. So there's no delay, there's no wait, there's no, it's at that point it's irrevocable, and no one can make changes or make claims. If it's not in the trust, it doesn't happen. Durable powers of attorney for financial and health care, so that we can get to assets, we can take care of funeral arrangements, we can do all those things, without there's springing powers of attorney, so they go in and they come out. If you get better, you take back over. If you pass away, then they go into effect into the trust in TOD. Per capita versus per stirpes. One of the ladies that last week called me, and this is a common situation. She does not really like her son-in-law. She obviously loves her daughter dearly. Her daughter has some health issues, very, very serious health issues, and she has 3 children. She wants to, her whole worry was, how do I get those assets to go to my grandchildren in case something happens to my daughter, even while I'm alive or after I'm passed? Very simple. The trust is set up per stirpes. It goes down bloodline. It would just skip around the son-in-law and would go to the children, and then her son, who she loves, who has an MBA, would be able to be the trustee and executor for them and make sure that all that gets taken care of. Not taking anything away from the son-in-law. We're just doing what she wanted to do, assets that she and her husband worked so hard to put together. And it's all very, very simple to do. It just has to be spelled out. And when you go in and sit with an attorney, a state attorney, some people don't use a state attorney, they just use an elder law attorney, probably not a good choice in a lot of cases, or just a local attorney. If they're not experienced with these things and you don't tell them what to do in the right way, they're not going to do it. They're going to do what you tell them to do. And that's why we become part of your team, to help you ask all these questions. We have a very long questionnaire that you go through, and everything that needs to be decided and put into a trust is on that questionnaire, so that you can make sure that you don't miss anything. Then also the attorney can't come back and say, well, we missed something. Per capita versus per stirpes, we talked about how that's going to happen. Probate court, if you go to probate, there's always that legitimacy of the will. There's someone that could come along. That son-in-law, they got divorced, and that son-in-law could come along and say before you had promised him $500,000 as father of your grandchildren. Well, now you've got to prove the legitimacy of the will, and if something's not spelled out in there, you've got to prove him wrong. He doesn't have to prove himself right. You got to prove him wrong. So now we got lawyers involved in process, and public claims are filed, and judges are going to make decisions, and maybe even a jury would come in. It's just ridiculous. It's just completely avoidable. The assets will be passed along when no will exists to whoever that the court decides, and it's expensive, it's lengthy, and it's just completely unnecessary, folks. That's all I can really say. I'm sorry that's so, trying to put it in layman's terms. Living trust versus revocable trust. Revocable, obviously, and irrevocable. It depends on when we're looking at that. The managed assets, revocable, it doesn't really save any taxes. It's more complex to draw up and manage. It's It's not something that you would normally really see in the process. We don't see very many of these. There is a place for them for high net worth individuals and split trusts and different things like that. But irrevocable is for most cases, you want to have having access to that asset is really most important. But again, we're talking to people of all different ages, and it's a generality. You want to stay under the estate tax thresholds, so you might use an irrevocable trust. Try to protect the assets from Medicaid spend down. I doubt that too many people would really be looking at that. This irrevocable trust, meaning you can't change it. You can't make any changes. Revocable trust, you can change it anytime you want to during the lifetime. It becomes irrevocable afterwards. But irrevocable trusts, they're really, really difficult to decide up front. Again, it's a firm decision, and it's a decision that needs to be made with an attorney. That you have to sit down with an attorney after we kind of map out what your estate plan looks like. Take that estate plan to the attorney, and the attorney will tell you what all the options are and which one might be best for you. Special needs trust. The couple that had a daughter that had disabilities. Needs to be a special needs trust that are placed into that. So if you have any kind of disabilities in the family, that needs to be brought up. Please note that down on your notes right now, or type that in the chat box when you do the Calendly appointment, and we can talk about those things. James can take you through these much better than I can. These are just options that are available. We're not going to diagnose over this financial education class. We're going to tell you what these are, and then you can sit down with James and decide which one suits you best. And then you can sit down with an attorney and take a qualified estate plan in with you and put that necessary paperwork together. James would be happy to stay with you through that process and make sure that everything gets done correctly. So durable power of attorney, it's, again, basically, if you had a stroke, the durable power of attorney for medical decisions can be given to your children. Obviously, the wife has it, but having that durable power of attorney allows you to make those tough choices. A friend of mine had to do a do not resuscitate for her brother the other day. She has durable power of attorney for medical decisions, also for his finances, so she can pay for his nursing home. He's in hospice now, unfortunately, but these are springing powers of attorney. They go in, they come back out when you're better. Do not do a joint tenant account where you put your grandkids' names or your kids' names on your accounts. That's very verboten. If your daughter is on your accounts and your daughter's husband files bankruptcy, they're going to come take all of your money out of your accounts if she's named on your accounts. Just don't do those kind of things. It would be terrible. The purpose is to appoint someone to make the financial decisions, make the medical decisions on your behalf. If you can't make those, as soon as you can make them, the springing would go back into action. Basics of a good estate plan is a living trust, either revocable or irrevocable, durable power of attorney, advanced health care directives, and current beneficiaries on all of your assets, like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, life insurance policies, etc., and have copies of them so you know exactly where those assets are, so that they're listed into the trust, and who's going to be taking care of those for you. Common excuses: did not know we would die. My dad didn't definitely use that one. 56 years old, he definitely did not think he was going to die. It's too complicated. It's not too complicated. One gentleman said, well, I have a house and I'm probably going to be selling the house, so I don't really want to, I said, well, when? He said, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years in the future, we're probably going to buy a house and a retirement home in something smaller in the mountains when we retire. I said, oh, that's cool. It's not complicated, folks. The house that you're currently living in goes into the trust. and you're the trustee. The same process of selling that house and buying a new house goes into effect, except for you're going to sign as the trustee, not as the owner. So there's going to be a TTEE after your name. That's the only difference. There's no difference in the whole process. It's simple. It actually makes things even simpler because now you've got everything in 1.5 inch thick document that you can carry around, and the title company will know exactly what to do with it. Which is what if we want to sell our house, etc. We do not need a trust. Well, let's decide that. The common denominator is if you have over $100,000 worth of assets, in most states, you need a trust. If you care about your family, you need a trust. If you want to remove probate and public disclosure and all of these icky things from the process that are unnecessary to be there, most times probate costs more than a trust. So why not have a trust? I don't know. That's why we're going to sign up. Again, chat box there. Go over to the offer. Book a time on my calendar. We're just talking in generalities today. I got my sleeves rolled up. Let me get in the office and let's sit down and really go through where you're at, what your concerns are, what your family structure looks like. Do you have a retirement plan? Do you have an income plan? Do you have a required minimum distributions plan? Do you have a tax plan? Those are all components that we haven't talked about yet tonight of a true estate plan. It's too expensive. A trust costs about $1,000 more than a goodwill, but it saves you all of the costs and delays and everything of probate. So it's going to end up being way less. In fact, once we know what state you live in, James can actually give you a side-by-side comparison. 99% of the time, if you have an estate, a trust is the right way to go, and he'll explain it to you. Again, it is not my job or James' job to decide what you want to do. Our job is to give you what options you have so that you can sit down and competently discuss these with your spouse, with your mate, with your CPA, with your kids, whoever your advisors team are. Sit down and discuss those and come up with a good solution. But if you sit down and discuss it today and you don't have any information, what are you going to discuss? They're just going to say, yeah, Mom, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. Yeah, Dad, go do what you want to do. No, here are facts. Here are 3 choices. Which one do we think is best for us? Now you can make a best decision through education. We can't control life in the markets, but we can direct their course. A GPS through life is going to get you there better, just like GPS in your car. I went up to a town about 117 miles from here this week that I've never been to before. My GPS took me there. I was talking on the telephone with clients and with associates the whole entire way. Never once had to think about where I was going. Arrived exactly at the right place, exactly on time, exactly 7 minutes early, which is what I like to be. It's important to me. It's important to that person that I was meeting. I want to be there on time, no excuses. Well, GPS gets me there. Same thing we're going to do with your estate plan. It's going to get you there. Will versus trust, RMDs to beneficiary, spousal, non-spousal IRA transfers. Now, a spousal transfer is, it's most states are joint community property. So what's the husband's is the wife, what's the wife's is the husband. So that's easy. But then remember, Secure Act changed the rules for qualified funds that go to the kids. It used to be they would just go ahead and take out RMDs for their lifetime at their age. That's changed. That was eliminated. So it's now been reduced. So we don't have that method anymore. So we've invented different methods to handle those IRA transfers. And like one couple, one of the things that since they're only 60 and they have a large amount of their estate in IRAs, they have a tremendous amount of estate in cash. For them, when we did all the calculations, by far, hundreds of thousands of dollars of advantage to them was a Roth conversion for a high net worth person, because they're going to live a long time and that money passes along to their kids and they're going to live a long time more tax-free. So for them, taking the bite now when taxes are so low, when taxes are on sale right now, was really the right way to go. What's the right way for you? I don't know. That's what we're going to talk about in the one-on-one. Now, one-on-one is just decide if you need us and if we need you. Then we'll set up a meeting after that. This meeting's complimentary, and the next meeting is going to be complimentary. So let's not use that excuse of, oh, he's going to bait us in and then he's going to charge us. No, we don't charge for planning services. We never do. Don't have to. Corporate pays for all that. Estate transfer, asset transfer, very important. Terminal illness, critical illness, nursing home, long-term care, final expense. Remember, this estate plan is about you and yours. When you're done with it, when the funeral arrangements are paid for, when everything is said and done, the rest of it is going to go to your estate. But what about before that? Let's make sure that you're taken care of. Husband passes, who's going to take care of the wife? Well, my kids live in Cincinnati and San Francisco. Well, guess what? They're probably not going to be doing it. And do they want to pay for it? I'm going to say no. So all those things go into your estate plan. So most people think that the estate plan starts after they die. No. Estate plan starts while you're retired to preserve that estate for a few generations. That wealthy couple, most of their estate's going to be passed along tax-free through estate planning. Careful estate planning. We did the analysis. We did the reviews. They made decisions, and then they carried out their decisions. So now they know exactly where their GPS needed to get them to and what paths they could take so they could make the right decision. And some of that sometimes includes life insurance. Not the time to retreat, be proactive, and take action. We can't jump away from these decisions, folks. We can't just put them on the shelf and say, well, we're going to do them tomorrow. You're here tonight. Step one. Step two is take action. Move forward. Get something done. Move on. So back to special offer number one. That's kind of a quick, and I know we're running over time. That's a quick, my way meeting with 15,000 people to get you convinced that it's time to take action and to look at these things, to investigate, to make some better decisions. One of the things we're going to talk about is stock market's down huge today again. There's really no good thing. Which of your accounts do you want to make sure that are going to protect your lifestyle for the rest of your life in retirement? Protect your wife in case something happens to you. Protect your husband in case something happens to you. Protect your children in the end with an estate or a legacy to your grandchildren. Let's talk about those things. And that's going to be in that 30-minute meeting, one-on-one. I'm not going to charge you a dime. I normally get very large number per hour. I don't charge a dime for this. Corporate says we don't charge you, you don't charge them. That's the way we like to do it. We want to help more people. So we're going to talk about your retirement needs and goals. We're going to talk about your estate plan. So if you right now, before you leave, book a time on my calendar link, and I'm going to give you a free gift for showing up. Time is valuable. Thank you so much for your time to be with me here tonight. My team is waiting. They want to see big numbers from me. When I come in and say this number of people registered, this number of people showed up, and this number on Monday morning, this number booked an appointment, cheers go up because they know they get to help you. They're non-commissioned. They're salaried. They worked their whole lives in college to do these things for you. They're waiting to help you. So book that time, and I'm going to give you a free gift for your time. We're going to spend 30 minutes together, and I'm going to educate you a little bit more. You get to pick. We'll pick together. Wealth Mismanagement by Ed Butowski. He's quite a character. A Wall Street insider on the dirty secrets of financial advisors and how to protect your portfolio. Dirty secrets. You didn't lose $307,000. We didn't sell it yet. And guess what? She lost another $150,000 after that. And she didn't know what to do. It's real simple what to do. I was seeing a friend the other day, and he said, John, I've lost like X number of dollars from my 401k. Well, he's only 50-something, but he's 50-something. And I said, did you call the 401k? No. They're not going to call you. Stockbrokers sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, folks. They don't buy them back. I said, well, he said, what do? I call there and He said, "I'll call right now." So he picked up the phone. He called him on speakerphone. He said, "I want to put my ass in something safe." She said, "Well, we have a fixed account right now that's paying 2.7. Put it there for now. Let's take some time off and see what happens in this marketplace. In November, if things go the way the market wants them to go and market starts going back up, you go back in." He said, "That was easy, John. Why didn't I do that a long time ago?" I don't know. Constrained Investor by Dave Macchia. Dave's got another book called Women and Income, Women and Money. He is a converted Wall Streeter to retirement. He's spoken about 100 times at conferences this year on constrained investors' decisions, how to implement the most powerful concept in retirement income planning. What is the number one thing we all need to retire? Income, or the power of zero. For high net worth people, the power of zero. How to pay zero in tax. It's kind of hard, but there's a lot of things that you can do to greatly reduce it. And for some people, yeah, you can go to zero if you want to. We don't know. We don't know you. I thank you for coming and visiting with us tonight and hearing our information. I spoke off script tonight from my heart because I want you to make that appointment. And that's where we can really dig deep. We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your needs, your goals. We're not going to talk about my needs. This is not about me. Someone before was making money with your money. It just wasn't you. We think it should be you. So go ahead, book that appointment right now. Total cost. Normally of just an estate plan that we would put together, we'll do a lot more for you than that. It's about $1,200. A complete retirement GPS estate plan is about $3,500 to $5,000, depending on how many assets you have. We don't charge for these estate planning analysis. Analysis means we're going to review it. We're going to understand it. We're going to go through it. We're going to understand where you're at right now. We're going to understand what it takes to get you to where you need to be. If you'd like to have help with that, we'd be happy to help you. Again, we won't charge you for that sort of the planning services. We don't work for free, though. We work for clients. So please go ahead, take it time right now, book that appointment. I'm kind of stalling here for those people who are just still hanging out. I've seen that a lot of people have already booked their appointment and have left. Thank you very much for being here with us. We're going to stay around for a little bit and let you book those appointments. And my calendar link, again, a couple of people just put in the comments that they didn't exactly know how to do it. And Sally, I'm sorry. It's not that complicated. So click on the link or copy the link and then put it into your browser. And when it comes up, you'll see my calendar. I like to book these appointments for the next 7 to 10 days so we don't forget about each other. I won't forget. Click on the day. See the ones in blue? That means there's times available. Click on the time, the ones in blue. Add your comments, questions, and goals. Push confirm, and then it'll take place. You'll get a confirmation in the email if after you type in your email. If you don't get that confirmation, please go ahead and respond back to us, and we will get you a confirmation immediately. I will send you out an email like I did today before, thanking you for attending. And then just in case something went wrong tonight in that whole process, it did last week. I made a mistake on the link. Then you can go ahead and respond back, and we'll get to I'll send you a calendar link on that one too, so that you can book it. So thank you. I kept you way too long tonight. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your efforts. Let's go to step 2. Let's talk about you, your needs, and your goals. Have a nice night. Thank you so much. God bless.